It's time for the chip race.
We are joined now by two-time UKIPT Player of the Season, UKIPT Galway final tableist, reigning Unibet DSO Malta champion, Daragh Davey. Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
I first met you years ago at a tournament in Ireland, and I remember there was a bunch of us sitting around at a break, and you were kind of on the edge of the group, and I knew who you were, but I'd never spoken to you, so I said, okay, this is the day I finally get to talk to Daragh Davey.
No.
And everybody was talking to Daragh, was just kind of like nodding and shrugging, and then everybody went off, so I thought, okay, now I'll talk to him. So I turned around to talk to him, and you literally like turned your back and go like, don't even think about talking to me.
I was very, very shy 7 or 8 years ago. I don't remember it being quite like that. I think I had just busted a tournament for a ridiculous percentage of my bankroll and was pretty pissed off. So I probably wasn't the most friendly at the time. Yeah. But I think you've manipulated that story. I'm lovely.
You're lovely now, yeah. But it was certainly an interesting start to our relationship.
Yeah, it could have had a better start.
I remember about a year later, I decided I just took one of my mad notions, like I do, that I was going to start staking somebody. So I was looking around Ireland. Okay, who's the best person to stake? And I'd always been obviously really impressed by you as a player at the table, and also just your general composure.
Why? I'm awful.
But your work ethic as well. Like I remember you after you bust that big tournament, the next day you were back grinding a side event, so I thought that was really impressive. So I decided to start staking you, and
you did.
You started playing online, and I think it's fair to say initially it didn't go that well.
For 3 weeks, it didn't go very well, yeah. Daragh.
And you were, but you seem far more worried than I was. So you sent me.
I think I know where the story's going now.
You sent me some hand histories, and I'm far too lazy to look at hand histories, so I sent them to David, who I'd recently just met as well. And David had done some coaching for a sit and go group, and so I thought, okay, well he'll know what to do. So I remember David rang me late one night, and he goes, "You need to stop staking this guy immediately." He's absolutely terrible. And I go, he can't be that bad. He's like one of the best young players. He goes, no, he's terrible. You're burning your money. You're going to lose all your money.
Yeah. David clearly can pick his professional players out very quick. 8 years later, here we are. Well, 5 years later.
What we ended up doing as a compromise was, rather than me just ringing you up and going, you're shit, you're dropped, was I said, okay, we'll go around and have a chat with them. So you very kindly invited the two of us around to your, you were living in Ringsend at the time, I think. Mm-hmm. So we popped around, and that may have been the first time you met David?
I think I met him once before, but yeah, it was either the first or second visit, and the first one was literally a 2 minutes, hey, how are you? So yeah, it was my first proper chat with David.
Yeah, and I think it's fair to say that David, he might not have been impressed with your game at the time, but he was very impressed by your willingness to learn and take on new information.
I think he was more impressed by my giving him coffee all night, and I think that saved me getting dropped, to be honest.
It's just so funny because I do remember that session, and I do remember seeing some things in your hand history that wasn't great that day. But when I think now, 6-7 years later, how the roles are reversed, and how I just like pester Daragh to come over and have coffee and to talk me through all the things I did wrong in my hands.
I was, by my own admission, looking back, a terrible tournament player. All my poker exposure had been in live cash games and a little bit of online cash. And even then, a lot of that was mixed games. So I think I was quite arrogant in thinking, it's still Hold'em poker, it's still exactly the same, but the reality being I had no concept of short stack play. I would like to say after that meeting I grinded Nash tables for months and got okay at that stuff pretty quick.
One of your breakouts, or maybe your main breakout, was that UKIPT Galway final table that I mentioned at the top of the interview. That was a pretty big tasty score. I know you haven't had a score that size since, so it was certainly a bit of a breakout one for you.
Yep, I more than doubled my roll, I think, in a weekend. It was pretty huge.
Talk us through that. Like, how life changing was that at the time?
It's quite funny. I think that was in 2013. At the beginning of 2013, I said I retire from live tournaments because I was I'm so fed up, so miserable with constantly coming 15 for 20th for like 20 plus K scores for the win and just getting nowhere. And I'm just like, this is ridiculous. I'm just going back to live cash or online tournaments. And yeah, I don't remember when I quit that. I remember I didn't play a tournament for a while, so I think Galway wasn't that long till after my retirement. I think I'd gone to the World Series and that was my first tournament.
He sounds like Fedor Holtz, but just much before him, he just decided retiring was the right thing to do, and he just came in as a recreational player and beasted up these big events.
Apparently, yeah, and then ran good for a few months.
Yeah, I think you obviously got back the enjoyment for live poker, and you really kicked on then, because you pretty much went to all the UK IPTs. You played every single side event. There was that one awful year where the three of us were in contention for the UK IPT Player of the Year, so we felt obliged to play every single side event we could get into. You actually ended up winning that year. I think you picked Max Silver and Thomas Ra.
Yep.
And you actually retained your title the next year. You were UK IPT Player of the Year 2 years in a row. Was that an actual goal that you set, or was it just you were going to play those tournaments anyway?
After Galway, I think I went to the next stop. It might have been the Isle of Man. I don't really remember. It was or Nottingham or some UK IPT stop, and I think I had a result there too. And afterwards, I just seen on their website there's this leaderboard, and I'm second on it, or I'm top of it, or something like that. And there's still 12 stops left, but I was like, oh, this is cool. And what's the prize? Oh, it's packages to all of next year. That's worth like over 10 grand. And
back in the day where there were like little sponsorship add-ons like that was a great, to be fair, like a good tip for tours. If you want to get people loyal to your live tour, throwing in packages like that as a prize
pretty
is a great way of doing it.
I might have paid several €1,000 in rake.
Exactly. As did Daragh and I, and we didn't get anything back for it, so just chasing it.
But yeah, I guess I kind of went for it then, and yeah, I became pretty obsessed and was multi-tabling side events at some points, and it just got a bit silly, but was very lucky in the end. The main thing was I ran very well in London, which was the final monster 3-week stop. I think I picked up 5 cashes, and that just put me out of sight, and it was honestly, I don't think there was anything particularly skillful. Max Silvers and probably Thomas Ra are both very good players and a lot better than I am, but I ran better than them.
Something a lot of people ask Daragh and I, and you of course as well, is your association with the firm, this kind of collective idea that we concocted in, I think, Daragh's dining room about 7 or 8 years ago, where we would sort of take people on, stake them, keep everyone under a kind of an umbrella staking group, you know, talk hand histories, do coaching sessions, and then of course between you, me, and Daragh, when we were all kind of that triumvirate, if you like, we would also, you know, share pieces as lots of people do as well. What was your experience of being in the firm with Daragh and I?
Probably a bit different, as I was the first person ever staked by Daragh, so I guess I was actually the beginnings of it in terms of maybe because I think you two kind of went into business a few months later after that. The beginnings of, you can actually make money from staking, and in terms of you know, giving me pointers for MTTs and coaching and stuff as well, that you can improve guys' games as well and make them better, and then they're going to win more, and you can have this kind of business model going now. I think we've all, I think it's fair to say, retired from it now, all three of us.
Pretty much,
yeah.
But guys at stables like BitB or that have pushed that on to a ridiculous level now, and their coaching setups are huge. These like 200 people Skype calls and seminars and stuff multi-times a week. But yeah, we were doing a similar concept 5-6 years ago.
Yeah, I think we were like the mom and pop store version of what these conglomerates, these Walmarts have taken over now.
Yeah, we were much smaller and much less organised, I think, much more chaotic.
Yeah, but my memories of it are very positive. Like, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing coaching and getting coaching. Not being funny, like we staked Kevin Colleen at one point, who I learned far more off very quickly than I could ever teach him. And various other guys. I'm not gonna name everyone because there's too many. I think we've.
You better name Newport or you'll get upset.
Okay, yeah, Nick Newport, I guess.
Yeah, around the time I started staking you, it was around the time actually David moved back from the States too, which is why David was brought in to coach you. So you all kind of got to know each other around that time. And you guys got on so well that you actually lived together for a while. Now, my biggest memory of the early days of like getting to know Lappin was when we were grinding online and we were talking to each other on Skype, and every so often we'd just be chatting away, and then every so often Lappin would start screaming and shouting and swearing because he'd lost a flip or something. Yeah. How did you find living with him, dealing with that sort of thing?
Challenging.
How diplomatic.
It was. For the most part, Dave's fine, but if Dave's on a couple months downswing or a bit of a couple of bad sessions in a row and he takes that
This is nonsense. I'm total professional.
Ace is getting cracked 5 times in a row. I do need to put my headphones on and pump the loudest heavy metal music I could to survive it.
But were you able to go in the same room?
Sometimes, yeah. I might have snapped at him once or twice.
I remember getting snapped at, actually, more than once or twice.
Yeah.
So do you tune into his Twitch now and feel all nostalgic when he goes on a rant?
Yeah, it is actually really comforting, and the great thing is I could just switch it off at any point.
Kick the mute button. Yeah. I found myself kicking the mute button on his Twitch a few times. That night he started eating biscuits and talking at the same time. I prayed that to me.
Yeah.
Well, you eventually left me and moved to Malta, moving in with our good pal James Noonan, actually one of the guys we originally staked. Mm-hmm. James, he kind of stole, I guess maybe the Maltese weather stole you from me. But you moved here, I think, was it May in 2015? And then obviously heartbroken, I couldn't be without you for too long. I followed you out here in, I don't know, September that year.
Yeah, it was a few months, and then I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, he's back.
Yeah, moved straight in with the 2 boys and started swearing in their living room during their sessions.
And I was like, I can't get away. It doesn't matter where I go in the world.
You're coming up on 10 years playing poker for a living. This is something I know Daragh and I talk about an awful lot. Many people refer to that sort of class of 2007, 2008 as being a bit of a golden age of Irish poker, a period where loads of the top players today sort of started out. Does it worry you that with, maybe a few exceptions, there haven't been so many players breaking out over the last few years?
Yeah, it's really concerning. It's been discussed a lot on this show and everywhere else. The poker economy seems in not that great a shape right now. There are nowhere near as many new people joining the game. But there's been some things. I think the kind of marketing and advertising of poker needs to be looked at. It needs to be made fun. Again, I'm not smart enough or clever enough to give a point-by-point thing how to do that, but
is Kevin Hart going to make it fun?
Kevin Hart could. I enjoy the signing of Kevin Hart. I think it's a lot better than Ronaldo or Neymar. But there is various other points as well, like companies need to be giving back more, like the dismantling of right-back programs, obviously from PokerStars, but even other sites are guilty of it too. Other sites maybe don't give back enough back and stuff, and give players incentives and goals and things, because even something like Supernova was fun. It's like it's a goal to aim to.
People set a life goal. They wanted those 5 stars or whatever it was on their screen. They wanted people to respect them because they were Supernova.
Yeah, again, I don't want to pick on stars here, but the various things like that. Sites need to look at incentive programs and stuff like that. It seems to have gone again of get people into other forms of gambling and use poker as a tool for that.
Yeah, I think when we all got that email a few weeks ago saying that our stars right back was probably being cut by 85% up, I guess we're all really reassured now to know that money's now being used to make Kevin Hart a little bit richer.
Well, I'd prefer Kevin Hart than Ronaldo richer, but yeah.
Well, look, it would be remiss of me to have you on the show, particularly around this time of year, without mentioning the fact that you are the reigning Unibet DSO champion. This time last year, approximately, you managed to get 4 ways. I think probably with the chip lead, or at least you had the chip lead somewhere around 4 or 5 left, and then did the honourable thing, chopped it up, flipped for the fucking trophy. What the fuck?
I was last in chips, I'd have you know, and I was presented with an okay deal. I think I got slightly more than ICM. I was actually significant. I was leader, I think, with 6 or 7 left, but I dropped back hugely. I was quite adrift, actually, and I think I was on a terrible downswing at the time. So bagging 14k, I don't really remember, to be honest, at the time, sounded pretty sweet to me.
Yeah, as I recall, I played the tournament as well, so I had a little piece of you, so I do remember all this. I think there was 20k up top, so I guess when you chopped it 4 ways, people got between 12 and 15k or something.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Any memories from that tournament?
I remember it being really fun. I remember Casino Malta, where I'm guessing it's being held again this year, is a great venue. It's really fun, good service, good TDs, good dealers. Everything was good. Trying to remember specific hands or specific instances. I don't remember too much. I remember I nearly missed day 2. That was a funny one. I was in, I'm going to say Valletta in Malta in the morning with my girlfriend. I think we were buying furniture or something like that because we just moved apartments like a month before. And there was a huge car crash on the sole roll coming out of Valletta ahead of us. So there was lines upon lines of gridlock traffic, and the tournament was starting back in an
Did you
hour's
just
time.
like jump out of the car and start running?
I pretty much had to run to past the crash to get a cab, and I arrived at the venue like just on time. I also only had 10 bigs going into day 2, so it would have been properly disastrous.
I've seen you run as well, so I can only imagine how
Well, look, Daragh, of course, we wish to replace you every single day. I do a news piece with Ian. I wish you were back. Maybe we will find a way to wedge you back into the show this season or next season, at the very least. Have you on for maybe a strategy section with Daragh. We'd love to do that.
Leave Ian alone. He tries.
a ringing endorsement for Ian there.
Well, look, seriously, Daragh, thank you so much for popping by.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.